What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ICNVDE Driver Edition. It's your boy's show, and I got another good conversation for you. So check this out. I just got back from a car meet I really shouldn't been at. It was kind of an impromptu. Somebody drove past and told me I need to stop by and check it out. But before I get really in depth with that, I want to sit there and say, I've been working on a video. Well, let's take even further step back in that. I came across a comment on Facebook that sat there and said the Corvette E-ray is a gimmick. And that kind of made me think about it the wrong way. And the reason why I say that is, after that post, there's a lot of people commenting, sitting there stating that the E-ray, because it was an electric hybrid version of the Corvette, that it was just some gimmick or some prototype of a Corvette that GM really put no time investment in and just threw it out in the market. They start criticizing the actual build and the concept behind it, which made me think, and it takes me back to another post. And I'm going to share that with you. Take a look. So the point in all of this is for me to sit there and say to you is that, well, the point behind all this, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. So now I actually came out and made a video called the E-ray versus the Z06. What's the differences and which car is the best decision for you? Well, in that video, I made a lot of assumptions based off the information and numbers that was given. If you'd like to see that video released, let me know, because as of right now, I pretty much scrapped it. And I scrapped it because I ended up, fast forward, back to this car show I really shouldn't have been at. And I say that because it was a younger crowd, only a handful of Corvettes in attendance, but it was more Mopar vehicles and tuner cars, and boy, were they having a good time. So I stopped through, tried to get a quick little footage, but it was late at night. So the best quality of the video footage was there, so I'm gonna share with you a couple highlights. But the point of this video, as you saw in the title, the Z06 versus the E-ray. The reason why I decided to make this video is because, like I told you before, I initially started making this video based on the numbers that was provided by Chevy, a lot of thought and speculation that I have based off the figures that's given about which vehicle would be the best vehicle. But since then, a video was made about the E-ray demolishing supercars, Italian supercars. And the information in that video is actually real. And it helps me give a better argument, or should I say a better explanation of my thoughts. So let's get into this video. Okay, now let's get into this video. If you saw at the E-ray release, which wasn't really a big major event, nothing compared to what happened with the Z06, but as you saw the information that was provided from the release, that the E-ray is actually the fastest Corvette to date. And I say to date because I'm expecting maybe one or two faster versions of the Corvette to come, but that's all speculation. But I will sit there and say this, I will address that speculation in another video, because I've been constantly asked since another YouTuber came out and said he doesn't believe the ZR1 is going to exist, and I'm going to tell you why I think it actually will. But let's not get sidetracked. So the E-ray is supposed to be the fastest Corvette ever. And when you hear that, a lot of people mind instantly think that it's faster than the Z06. And in certain situations, and I say that again, in certain situations, it is. The one thing about the E-ray and the Z06 is they share two different engine designs. And the E-ray is more closer to the base C8. And with that information, what I want you to understand is, I've said this numerous times before, the base C8 is very fast from 0 to, I'll say, 100. Really, it's more like 0 to 80, 85. The 100-mile-per-hour range is technically where you feel the power finally drop off, and it has less top-end performance than most supercars that you would like to compare it against. Well, the C8 Z06 has great low-end performance, but it has amazing top-end performance as it never stops pulling, and that's the difference between the design. Well, when you add an electric motor to the base C8, which is technically what the C8 E-ray is, the electric motor allows the C8 to now have all-wheel drive capabilities and instant torque. So logically, it will become even faster, and that's exactly what happens. The electric motor now adds to the already fast performance of the base C8, and it makes it a lot quicker. But my thought was based off the performance of other hybrid cars like the NSX and the BMW i8, is that at some point the electric motors stop pulling and it becomes all engine once again. And with the NSX, that was somewhere right around 100 to 125 miles per hour. So I was using that information to speculate on the performance of the Corvette C8 E-ray. So what I'm getting at is that once the electric motor hits 100 miles per hour, technically it becomes useless because now it's all the gas engine. And when you go back to the base C8 engine, like I said before, the electric motor hasn't changed the top end performance of the Corvette E-ray. And the one thing that hasn't changed is the top end performance of the gas engine just isn't there. So what we can assume, and what the question becomes, is how fast does it get to 120 miles per hour? And with that takeoff, is it really a big enough gap to make a difference? That's the true question. Well, enters Haggerty. Haggerty made the video where they put the C8 E-ray up against a couple of Italian supercars. But in the midst of that same information, they also made a video before where they put the C8 Z06 up against some supercars. Well, Haggerty now has information on both cars, and we can use that information to actually compare the performance between the two. So now it's no longer required to be speculation, but actual facts from races that actually took place. I think this is the perfect time to take a quick break and ask you guys to hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that like button if you like the content you've seen so far, and join the ICNVDE Drive Edition community. Subscribe to the channel. Continue to help us grow, but also by joining the community, it's an interactive community. So if you leave a comment below, I will gladly respond. And if there's something you would like to talk about, hit me up on one of my social media platforms. I'll gladly get back to you with an answer. And possibly I'll make a video about the topic and drop it amongst the other videos and content that we have coming your way. So join the ICNVDE Drive Edition community. But for now, let's get back to this video. So what did we learn? Well, we learned right off the line that E-ray took an amazing head start on the other two supercars. And with that being said, the lead was so big that it actually won the race. So if you haven't seen the video, please go check it out over at Haggerty. It's an amazing video, and the information, the way they delivered it is prestige, and I have no complaints, and I think they're a great source, and they put out a lot of great videos. So I want to give them their just due. So if you haven't seen the video, please go over and check it out at Haggerty, and I'll even drop a link to the video in the description below. But getting back on topic, so when you see the performance, it actually pulls away from the Ferrari so fast. And think about this, the Ferrari actually has 700 horses. So when you watch the video, you do see the Ferrari starts to pull the C8 E-ray back in. And to me, that's because the electric motors have met their top performance speed, and it's all the gas engine motor from the base C8. And we all know, like I said before, it doesn't have great top end performance. So if this race was actually going to, let's say, a half a mile or definitely a mile, the Ferrari would rein it in. But also one other thing that was mentioned in the video was if they were going from a rolling start, the E-ray really wouldn't have a chance. And that's what I try to get across to a lot of people, is that it's just as great as the C8 E-ray is. The electric motor gives it instant torque, but you only get to experience that torque when you're below 100 miles per hour. Let me explain to you why. Well, my theory or my thought process was actually debunked. From the information provided by Hagerty, the C8 E-ray electric motors actually stop pulling at 100 miles per hour. That's about 20 to 25 miles less performance than I was actually expecting. So, is it a good thing? It's still not bad numbers, but it just allows the Corvette E-ray to stop performing at its best a lot sooner. Now, when you add that information back to the equation, and like they stated in the video, if this would have came from a rolling start, the C8 E-ray really didn't have a chance. And the main reason is because the electric motors are going to stop pulling at 100 miles an hour. You lose the advantage the car had with its takeoff. That's what makes the E-ray so amazing, is its takeoff. So once that advantage is lost, you only have, which typically is a rolling 30 mile per hour start, 70 miles of peak performance to try to create a lead. But as you see, the Ferrari is already running this thing down. The Lamborghini, once it got traction, starts to pull in as well. So if they already have traction, I think it'll be a short neck and neck race, maybe for less than 1/8 of a mile before the other two cars truly outperform the Corvette E-ray. But to me, the Corvette E-ray has a place because it is the quickest Corvette ever. A lot of people will like to have that status, and most people just take off quick from stoplights. They like to show performance or what their car can do from a quick 0 to 60 lunge at a stoplight, and this car will go over or smooth over well with many of those people. Now, with this bit of information being released, let's get back to the C8 Z06 in the midst of this equation. The C8 Z06 information we have from Hagerty states that the C8 Z06 was able to do 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds, while the E-ray was able to knock off a 0 to 60 run in just 2.4 seconds. The Z06 actually clocked in the quarter mile at 10.5 seconds, whereas the E-ray clocked in the quarter mile at 10.4 seconds. So truthfully, 0 to 60 or in a drag strip race, the E-ray is the faster car. So as I was sitting back at this car show I wasn't supposed to be at, this is the conversation and information I was sharing with individuals at this car show before I found out that this video had got released. And now, with this information being out, it allows me to give you more accurate information about the C8 E-ray and the C8 Z06. I feel like if you get the C8 Z06 without the Z07 package, without all the massive downforce, you may get slightly better performance numbers than the track focused or track heavily focused C8 Z06, which may even out the battlefield between the E-ray and the Z06. But for that purpose alone, I think that's why we really haven't seen a non-Z07 Corvette Z06 really be talked about by GM, because the performance may be so parallel to the E-ray and actually outperform the E-ray that it would hurt the production, or should I say the promotion of the Chevy Corvette E-ray. And GM doesn't want to devalue a car they put on the market that they're trying to sell. So in evidence, we haven't seen any information by GM to clarify how great of performance or how much of a lack of performance that the base C8 Z06 is without the track edition package. But as for now, if you're looking for the true dominant vehicle, it's the C8 Z06. And I hope you can understand why. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below, and I'll explain why as best as I can with a little bit more detail. But in all actuality, the C8 Z06 is the better performance car, especially on high-end or top-end performance. So if you plan to live below 100 miles per hour, there is nothing wrong with you getting a C8 E-ray. I think you'll be happy with a C8 E-ray, and you may actually be able to get a car. But if you're looking for fun in the top end numbers, fun on the track, and a vehicle that is going to truly give you the essence and feel of a supercar, an exotic supercar, an Italian supercar, but American made with the warranty that you can trust, then you got to go after the C8 Z06. So hopefully this video helped out or clarified or cleared up some of the information or the misunderstanding of the information before. But all I'm going to say before I let you go is the E-ray is not a gimmick. It's pretty much a different approach to getting speed and improving 0 to 60 times or drag strip times by GM and the Corvette. For those that believe the C8 E-ray is actually a gimmick, I'm going to refer back to this post because, like the individual said, no one has ever sat there and said, oh, I don't want a P1, I don't want a SF90 because they're electric. Those are very high performance cars and they're hybrid cars. So think about that. But that's all I have with this episode of ICNV Driver Edition. So go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the ICNV Driver Edition community. It's an interactive community, and I create a lot of videos based off the comments or conversations I have with this community. So if there's a topic you would like for me to talk about, go ahead, hit me up on one of my social media sites, and I'll gladly address the issue. But for now, stay safe, stay blessed, and I will see you in these streets. Peace.